Remarrying after 60. Don't say I do until you know these 5 truths. It's a quiet kind of hope, isn't it? That maybe, just maybe, love still has something left to give. That even after decades of life, with all its twists, heartbreaks, growth and loss, your heart still knows how to flutter. You're older now. Wiser, definitely. And if you're being honest, a little more cautious. You've loved before, maybe deeply, maybe more than once. You've also likely lost through death, divorce, or distance. And now here you are thinking about doing it all again, not because you need to, but because a part of you still wants to. There's something beautifully brave about considering remarriage after 60. It's not just about romance, it's about companionship, partnership, laughter over coffee, a warm hand to hold at night. It's about building a connection that understands your past, but still sees a future. And let's be honest, this stage of life comes with its own kind of clarity. You've seen enough, felt enough, survived enough to know what matters. And that's powerful. But let's also be real. Love in your 60s and beyond isn't the same as it was at 25 or 40. It's deeper, quieter sometimes, but far more intentional. There's no time for games, no space for pretending. You want truth, transparency, and a love that fits where you are now, not where you used to be. That's why before you say I do again, it's important to stop and ask what's different this time. What do I truly need? What truths must I face head on to build something lasting? This isn't about doubting love. It's about honoring it. It's about entering into something new with both eyes open, your heart soft, but your mind sharp. Because remarriage after 60 isn't just a second chapter. It's a whole new book. And before you turn the page, you deserve to know what's waiting inside. So let's talk about it. Let's get honest, thoughtful, even a little vulnerable. Because this time, you're not just falling in love, you're stepping into it with everything you've learned, everything you've become, and everything you still hope to be. Truth 1. Love after 60 isn't a repeat, it's a reinvention. This isn't a sequel. This isn't a reboot of your younger years with a new co-star. And it's definitely not about proving anything to the world, not to your family, your friends, or society's expectations. At this stage in your life, love isn't about status, convenience, or ticking boxes. It's about soul. By the time you're in your 60s, you've lived, not just existed, but really lived. You've seen what love looks like through the lens of youth, through the storms of adulthood, and perhaps even through the pain of loss. You've watched people change, or maybe you've had to let go of someone you thought you'd spend forever with. Whether your past was filled with joy, heartbreak, or a complicated mix of both, it's made you who you are. And now you're standing at the edge of something new. Here's the truth. Love after 60 isn't meant to mirror your past. It's meant to reflect your present. In your younger years, love may have been filled with dreams about building a family, climbing career ladders, or creating a certain kind of lifestyle. It was about the future, what you were hoping to become together. But now it's different. You're not looking for someone to build a life from scratch with. You're looking for someone to share the life you've already built. That shift in intention is powerful. You're no longer trying to figure out who you are in the context of a relationship. You know who you are. You've earned that clarity through time, trial, and triumph. That means you get to show up differently. You get to love without losing yourself. You get to express your needs without fear of judgment. You're not here to settle, you're here to connect with honesty, simplicity, and depth. Reinvention in love also means redefining what romance looks like. In your 60s and beyond, it's not always about grand passion or whirlwind adventures. Sometimes, it's reading together in silence, cooking dinner side by side, laughing over old memories and creating new ones, without the pressure of perfection. And yes, there might be fear. The fear of being vulnerable again. The fear of repeating past mistakes. The fear of being hurt. But there's also courage, because even with all that fear, you're still considering love. You're still believing in the beauty of human connection. And that alone is proof of your resilience. There's also a beautiful practicality in this season of love. You're not here to be impressed. You're here to be understood. You're not interested in changing someone or being changed. You want companionship, mutual respect, and a shared sense of peace. You're not looking to fix or save anyone. You just want to walk beside someone who gets it, who gets you. And maybe that's the most revolutionary part of all. Because love after 60 isn't about starting over. It's about starting forward, with eyes wide open, with all the lessons from your past woven into your present. It's not naive. It's not desperate. It's intentional, deliberate, and full of quiet confidence. You don't need permission to begin again. You don't need anyone else's timeline or approval. This love, this reinvention, is yours to shape. So don't look back with comparison. Don't try to recreate what once was. You're not walking into a rerun. You're creating something entirely new, something worthy of where you are and where you're going. And that kind of love is powerful, it's peaceful, and it's absolutely possible. Truth too, the baggage is real, but so is the beauty. But let's talk about the unglamorous, often unspoken part of finding love again later in life. Baggage. Not the kind that fits neatly into a suitcase. The kind that travels with you everywhere, whether you acknowledge it or not. The emotional kind, the family kind, the health kind, the kind that whispers, "Can someone really love all of me? This version of me." At this age, no one's showing up with a blank slate. Everyone's carrying something. And if we're being honest, you probably are too. You've got a history. Maybe it's a long marriage that ended in loss. Or maybe it's complicated relationships with grown children, financial responsibilities, or health concerns that weren't part of your reality 10 or 20 years ago. Maybe it's trust issues. Maybe it's just the quiet weight of grief you've learned to live with. And yes, it's real. All of it. But here's the thing they don't tell you enough. That baggage, it doesn't make you unlovable. It makes you human. It makes you layered. It means you've lived. And when two people come together later in life, it's not about pretending the baggage doesn't exist. It's about being brave enough to unpack it, piece by piece, with someone who's willing to sit on the floor beside you and say, "Let's make room for this." Because buried inside all that baggage is beauty. Deep, breathtaking beauty. There's beauty in someone seeing your wounds and choosing not to run. Beauty in telling your story without shrinking from it. There's beauty in the way two people, each with their own set of joys and heartaches, can still choose each other. Not in spite of it all, but because of it all. Love after 60 isn't about finding someone who has nothing complicated going on. It's about finding someone whose complications are compatible with yours. It's about finding someone who doesn't flinch when you speak honestly about the loss of a spouse, or the estrangement with a child, or the quiet fear you carry about aging alone. It's about discovering that even with all the emotional luggage, connection is still possible, still worth it. Let's not forget the other side of this truth either. You're not just carrying hardship, you're carrying strength. Insight, empathy. You've developed emotional muscles that people in their 20s and 30s are still working on. You know how to listen, how to weather storms, how to compromise, how to stay. That kind of wisdom makes your love richer. It means you're not swept up in fairy tales, you're grounded in reality, and that makes what you build even more solid. Sometimes, people hesitate to love again because they're afraid their past is too much. But here's what you need to remember. Anyone worth building a future with won't be scared off by your past. In fact, they'll honor it. They'll respect the person you've become because of everything you've been through. The beauty of loving later in life is that you come to the table with a full story, and when you find someone who wants to hear it all, who isn't intimidated by the chapters that made you, who says, "Tell me more," instead of "That's too much," that's when something truly extraordinary can happen. Because when two people, with all their baggage and beauty, come together and still choose love, that's not naive, that's courageous. That's the kind of love that doesn't just survive life, it understands it. And that kind of love, it's not just real, it's absolutely worth waiting for. Truth 3. Your independence is sacred. Don't lose it. Here's something we need to say out loud, something not everyone will understand, but you will. Just because you want love doesn't mean you want to give up your life. And that's not selfish, that's healthy. By the time you're in your 60s, maybe 70s, you've carved out your world. You've built routines that bring you peace. You have your ways, how you like your mornings quiet, how you treasure your solo walks, how you've come to enjoy your own company in ways you never did when you were younger. You know what you like. You know who you are. And the idea of sharing your life with someone again, while exciting, also comes with a quiet question. Can I love someone without losing myself? And the answer is yes. But it takes clarity, courage, and commitment to yourself. This truth isn't about putting up walls or being unwilling to compromise. It's about recognizing that independence isn't something you outgrow. In fact, in later life love, it might be the very thing that holds your relationship together. Because here's what's different now. You're not looking for someone to complete you. You're not trying to be half of a whole. You're whole already. And the kind of relationship that will last, the kind that will truly fit your life, is one that adds to it, not absorbs it. That means protecting your independence isn't about creating distance. It's about preserving your identity. You've earned the right to choose how your days look, how your time is spent, and how much space you need to thrive. And when you meet someone who respects that, that's when the relationship starts to feel like a gift, not an obligation. Let's talk about the practical side of this too. For many people in their 60s and beyond, remarriage or even just cohabitation brings up real-life questions. Will we live together or keep separate homes? How do we blend our routines, our families, our finances, without losing our balance? And maybe the biggest one, can we be close without being entangled? The beautiful thing is, there's no one-size-fits-all answer. More and more couples are choosing to live apart together, what they call LAT relationships, where they remain deeply committed, emotionally connected, but maintain separate living spaces. For some, it's about practicality. For others, it's about preserving that independence they've grown to love. It might be unconventional, but it works for those who understand the value of space, autonomy, and time apart, as much as time together. And for those who do choose to move in together or remarry formally, this truth still holds. You'll need to talk about how to protect your routines, your boundaries, and your emotional well-being within a shared space. It's not about building walls, it's about creating healthy, respectful boundaries that allow love to grow without crowding out your individuality. Don't ignore those quiet whispers in your heart, the ones that say, "I love my freedom," or "I don't want to give up my mornings," or "I still need time to myself." That's not cold or unromantic. That's wisdom. That's a sign you know how to take care of yourself, and that you're looking for someone who doesn't take that away from you. Because the right person at this stage in your life won't want to change you. They'll want to know you. They'll love the life you've created for yourself, and they'll want to stand beside you in it, not rewrite it. You've come too far to shrink now. You've worked too hard to be at peace with yourself. And in the kind of love that's worth having, your independence doesn't have to be sacrificed. It gets celebrated. So remember, you can love deeply and keep your boundaries. You can be committed without being consumed. Your independence isn't a threat to your relationship. It's a gift to it. And the person who's meant to walk with you in this season of life, they'll see that, they'll honor it, and they'll love you not despite your independence, but because of it. Truth 4, it's not just about you. The ripple effect is real. Falling in love again at this stage in life might feel deeply personal, and it is. It's your heart, your happiness, your choice. But if we're going to be honest, and we are, it's not happening in a vacuum. When you remarry after 60, you're not just blending lives, you're blending families, histories, habits, and expectations. And while the love may feel simple between the two of you, the ripple effect around you can get complicated fast. Let's talk about the real stuff. Adult children, grandchildren, longtime friends, extended families, even your late spouse's family if you've been widowed. All of these people, intentionally or not, are part of the equation when you say "I do" again. And while their opinions don't get to make your decisions for you, they do matter. Why? Because love doesn't live in isolation. It exists in the context of connection. And your remarriage has the power to shift long-standing emotional dynamics for everyone involved. Sometimes that shift brings joy, relief even. Your children may be thrilled to see you smile again, to companionship back in your life. Your friends may rally around you with genuine support. But other times, the response can be mixed, maybe even hurtful. Some people may not understand, others may feel threatened, left out, or disoriented by this new chapter you're choosing. And if we're being really honest, some of those feelings come from love, the deep kind. A child who lost one parent may struggle with the idea of someone replacing them, even if you know that's not what's happening. A friend who shared your grief journey might feel left behind when they see you finding happiness again. These emotions, while difficult, are human, and navigating them with grace is part of the journey. But here's what's important. Don't let guilt steal your second chance. You are allowed to move forward. You are allowed to love again. And you are allowed to do it while still honoring the people you've lost, the life you've lived, and the love you once had. Choosing to remarry doesn't erase your past. It just proves your heart is still alive and capable of love. That's not betrayal. That's growth. That's courage. Still, this is where open communication becomes vital. Before saying "I do," have the conversations that matter, not just with your partner, but with the people your union will affect. Talk with your children. Be honest about your intentions, your hopes, and your boundaries. Let them express their feelings, even the messy ones. You don't need their permission, but you do want their understanding. And that comes from trust, not silence. This ripple effect isn't just emotional either. It's practical. Remarriage later in life often carries legal and financial implications. Estate planning, inheritances, social security benefits, medical decision-making, even where you'll live. All of these questions carry weight. And if you don't address them early and clearly, confusion or conflict can arise down the road. It's not romantic, but it's necessary. And frankly, it's respectful to your partner and to your family. You may need to revisit wills, set up prenuptial agreements, or define boundaries around assets. Not because you're planning for failure, but because you're planning with wisdom. And that's what mature love does. It doesn't hide from hard conversations. It steps into them, hand in hand, with clarity and care. The good news, you're not the first to walk this path. Plenty of couples have figured out how to blend families with kindness, how to communicate with grace, and how to earn the respect of skeptical loved ones, not through pressure or defensiveness, but through patience and honesty. And here's the beautiful part of this truth. When those ripples finally settle, when your family and friends begin to see the peace, the joy, the rightness of your new relationship, something shifts. Love expands, hearts soften, and often, new connections begin to form that you never expected. Your new partner may become a trusted companion to your children. Your grandchildren may find in them a steady presence, a bonus grandparent full of stories and affection. The blending of two lives may become more than just two people. It may become a wider circle of love, if given time and space to grow. So yes, the ripple effect is real, but it doesn't have to be destructive. It can be healing. It can be beautiful. As long as you go into this new chapter with your eyes open, your heart grounded, and your conversations honest, you won't just be creating a new life for yourself. You'll be creating room for others to grow with you. And that's love in its most generous form. Truth 5. The heart still longs for connection. Honor that. There's a quiet ache that lives in a lot of people over 60, and not many talk about it. It doesn't shout. It doesn't demand attention, but it lingers, especially in the stillness. It's the longing for connection, for conversation that goes beyond small talk, for presence, for laughter across the dinner table, for someone to notice when you're a little quieter than usual, for someone to care. This longing isn't weakness. It's not loneliness disguised as desperation. It's human. And it never really goes away, no matter how independent, busy, or self-sufficient you become. The heart never outgrows its desire to be seen, to be valued, to be loved. We were built for connection, and even after all the life you've lived, all the people you've loved and lost, your heart still beats with that same quiet hope. Maybe there's still more love ahead for me. Honor that. There's a lie that floats around in our culture, that after a certain age, your chance at deep romantic love has passed, that you're too set in your ways, that your time has come and gone. But nothing could be further from the truth. Love doesn't have an expiration date. It doesn't fade out when the candles on the birthday cake multiply. If anything, it becomes richer, truer, less about performance and more about presence. Maybe you've been alone for a while. Maybe you've gotten used to your own company. You've built a rhythm that works. Wake up when you want, watch your favorite shows, go to bed with the TV on or in silence. You've survived holidays that once felt unbearable. You've managed doctor's appointments, tough days, and quiet Sunday mornings by yourself, and you should be proud of that. You made it through things others can't fully understand, but making it through isn't the same as truly living. Somewhere inside you, there's a part that still wants to share things, not out of neediness, but because sharing is a kind of joy. Sharing a meal, a memory, a silly inside joke, even just the everyday parts of life, choosing what to cook for dinner or watching the news together, become warmer when done with someone by your side. That's what connection brings. And that's why your longing for it matters. It's not about being incomplete on your own. It's about being open to more, to partnership, to intimacy, not just physical, but emotional and spiritual. To someone who gets your silence, who remembers how you like your coffee, who holds space for your pain without trying to fix it, who sees you as you are now without comparison to your younger self, and still says, I choose you. When you give yourself permission to want that, to seek it, to say yes to it again, you're not giving up your independence. You're not disrespecting your past. You're honoring your capacity to love. And that is sacred. Of course, it can be scary. Opening your heart again always carries risk, but so does closing it off. So does spending the next decade wondering what if. What if you meet someone who makes your world feel bigger again? What if you laugh like you haven't in years? What if late in life love turns out to be the most peaceful, most authentic love of all? You'll never know unless you honor that longing, unless you believe that your heart, even now, especially now, deserves to be held with care. You see, the world will keep spinning, whether you open yourself to love or not. But your world, your inner world, could come alive in ways you hadn't imagined. All because you allowed yourself to admit, I still want connection. I still want someone to walk with me, not to complete me, just to join me. And if someone doesn't understand that, that's okay, because this chapter of your life isn't for their understanding. It's for your becoming. So don't quiet the voice in you that still hopes. Don't shrink your longing just to fit into someone else's idea of what aging should look like. You don't need to act your age. You just need to be honest with your heart. Because the truth is, your capacity to love is still alive. And your desire to connect, that's not a weakness, that's a gift. One that, when shared with the right person, can transform the rest of your life. Conclusion: you're not starting over, you're starting forward. So here you are, standing at the edge of something new, not because you have to, not because anyone expects it of you, but because deep down, your heart still believes there's more. More love, more connection, more life to share. And if there's one thing you should carry with you as you consider saying "I do" again, it's this: you're not starting over, you're starting forward. Let's leave behind that idea that remarriage after 60 is some kind of redo, a desperate grab for what once was. That's not what this is. You're not trying to replace anyone. You're not erasing your past. You're building something entirely new, not from scratch, but from a place of experience, resilience, and a deeper understanding of yourself. And that's a powerful place to begin. You now know that love after 60 is a reinvention, not a replay. You understand that everyone brings their own kind of baggage, and that embracing the beauty within that baggage is what makes late-in-life love so deeply meaningful. You've been reminded that your independence is not just a preference, it's sacred. It's something to protect and preserve, even in the closest partnerships. You've faced the truth that your love will have a ripple effect, touching the lives of others around you in ways you can't always predict. But with the right conversations and compassion, it can become a source of healing, not conflict. And finally, perhaps most importantly, you've acknowledged the longing within you, the desire to be seen, known, and loved again. That longing is nothing to hide. It's something to honor, because love doesn't retire. It doesn't fade with age. If anything, it matures into something quieter, steadier, and more real than it ever was in youth. You're not too old, you're not too late, and you're definitely not done. Whatever the next chapter looks like, whether you walk down the aisle, lend a family, or simply hold hands with someone on the porch while the sun sets, it deserves to be written with intention, truth, and heart. You've earned that, so don't let fear write your story. Don't let the weight of others' opinions keep you from reaching for what could be. Trust what you've learned, trust who you are now, and trust that love, real love, is still within reach. This isn't the end of the story. It's just a new kind of beginning. You're not starting over, you're starting forward, with open eyes, a wiser heart, and the courage to say yes again. Not because you need love to complete you, but because you still have so much love to give. And that, right there, is the most beautiful truth of all.